So ultimately, people look back now and say, well, what did you get out of it? And again, I think it's hard to show any kind of deliverable other than us getting to square one, which would have happened if they had voted for the CR in the first place.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
The Democrat government shutdown has ended, and not with a bang, but with a whimper, as we all knew that it would. And of course, we're going to see this point being discussed over here with Ben Ferguson and Kevin O'Leary, tearing the panel at CNN apart. But before we begin, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe on this video so we can break the algorithms. Here we go.
We went through this short-term disaster with the Democrats because they thought it would be good politically. And it's an honor now to sign this incredible bill and get our country working again. Thank you very much.
So there's a lot there. And also his demeanor tonight struck me as defiant. I mean, understandably so because of the government shutdown, but also perhaps because of this Epstein stuff that is sort of hovering over all of this.
I don't think he's thinking about Epstein right now. I think he's pissed off that the Democratic Party did the same deal that was on the table before the shutdown. They held Americans hostage. They hurt American families that are working. They hurt more than 1 million government workers that get paychecks. They hurt families that need food stamps to put food on the table. And Democrats even voted against that by itself. This was the same exact deal that was on the table before the shutdown. So this was only about one thing.
I don't think it was the same exact
It was
deal.
exactly the same deal. Even Democrats said that. There was Congress people today in the Democratic Party that said, yes, this was what was on the table at the beginning of the shutdown, before we had a shutdown. It's the same thing. So the president's on edge tonight, and I hope people understand this, because he just watched the American people be held hostage for 40 days for something stupid, for politics.
Well, one thing to note is that he takes questions all day long, to his credit. He did not take questions.
I think what we learned tonight, which is consistent with other shutdowns, you can keep the government shut down until someone sits on a runway for 7 hours on their way home for a holiday. They get so pissed, they don't care if they're red or blue, and it hurts every politician. And that's exactly what happened in the last 48 hours. Same deal. It wasn't anything else except the transit of America got shut down and people got pissed. And they called in to the representation and said, hey, bozos, get back to Washington and turn this thing back on, you morons. And I think that's kind of important because at the end of the day, you're elected to serve the people. And when they can't move around to see their families or do business or conduct the economy, they get pissed.
But it's pretty outrageous to me that that Donald Trump, who is the most powerful president regarding his party, the way that he can usher his party together and get them to do whatever he wants, most powerful president of my lifetime in either party. And I think he shirked his responsibility as president of the United States and leader to convene Republicans and Democrats and get a deal crafted. Because all we've done right now is kick this can down the road. We're going to be in this same problem in a matter of weeks, by the end of January? And we're going to have a healthcare issue that's going to become incredibly urgent.
Take a lot longer than a week to solve that one.
Right. Well, but here's the problem. Enrollment period is now, and premiums are up 200, 300%.
I want to bring up the people who don't take the planes, don't have the money to take the planes, don't take flights. He just sit there and lied and talked about Democrats wanting to deprive people of SNAP.
They voted to make sure they didn't get it.
I'm going to just talk over you because you're being rude. They went into court to lobby the judges to make sure that they could not tap into the emergency funds that would have paid the SNAP because they wanted to use it as a negotiating tool.
And when you say you mean the government went to court to keep people from getting
Trump's lawyers
went during the shutdown. During the shutdown.
You guys voted no.
The government did not need to go to the court.
But here's the thing.
And ask them to stop paying benefits.
That they were almost hungry. No one will forget that they were almost hungry. No one would. No amount of lying is going to make you look at your health insurance going up twice or 3 times and going to make that okay because he says that the stock market is up. Because you're not in the stock market. You don't have 401k. You're just trying to straight by. You're just trying to feed the kids and keep the lights
Charles,
on.
how many times did the Democrats vote to approve food stamps in the shutdown? How many times did Democrats vote to approve it? Yes, I said Charles. That's your name.
But okay.
No, that's a real question. He just said.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh my gosh, it's a question to you.
Ben, calm down. It's okay. You just made that same.
You can't rewrite history.
But hold on, you just made that same point. But Charles, given what you just said, Democrats, they took the deal. and they reopened the government without actually getting what they sought.
Right. So
so at the end of the day, I mean, they fought that fight, but they didn't really get a whole lot out of it.
Right, and that's where I do agree with you.
But, you know, you're right in this context.
If I can finish this, if I got to finish this like you wanted to finish, I want to finish. I understand that part where people don't get a lot out of shutdowns ever. Whoever's holding it up, they almost never get their way. But what the Democrats did do was put a big spotlight on this fact. These guys have passed a bill that's going to jack your insurance up through the roof. And we are trying to figure out a way to slow this down and stop this from happening until it happens.
Let's admit something. In all G7 countries now, all G7, not just the United States of America, healthcare is broken. No one's fixed it. Nobody knows how to fix it yet because you've got an aging population lasting 20 years longer than they did in the 50s, and it's really, really expensive. So they're not going to fix it in the government shutdown in 1 week. Obamacare was a shot, didn't work.
And look,
It
hold on,
it didn't work.
Hold on a second.
So, of course, what's the big takeaway from all this, as pointed out by Ben Ferguson? The Democrats got absolutely nothing. The deal they accepted at the end is the same proposal that was on the table at the very beginning. Now, if you had to say there was a difference, yes, some of the employees that got furloughed will get rehired. But guess what? Before they got furloughed, it was the same deal on the table. So has anything really changed? Absolutely not. However, you have Ana Navarro out there saying, oh, the can is just kicked down the road a couple of weeks, right? After all of this fighting, after the big shutdown, we're just going to have to do it again. Exactly. That's what had so many of us scratching our heads. Why in the world would the Democrats shut this down, accept the same deal that was already on the table, and then, of course, turn around and be forced to have that fight again in just a few weeks? And the answer to that question's pretty simple, okay? The No Kings rally, where the Democrats had to pretend that they were standing up to Donald Trump. And then, of course, you also had those off-year elections, okay? So that's what everything was on pause for. But Ana Navarro also raises the point that Donald Trump should have sat everyone down and made a deal. Now, what deal could Donald Trump have possibly have reached with the Democrats, right? It is documented and released that what did they actually want? $1.7 trillion further in spending, right? Illegal immigrants on Medicare, restored funding for PBS and NPR. Those are all things that Donald Trump and the Republicans fought to get included into the big, beautiful bill. So they're not going to turn around and just give them away because the Democrats are digging in their heels on something that wasn't worth fighting over again in the first place. And of course, this is something that even Abby Phillips had to admit, right? We had the big shutdown, and for what? What did the Democrats gain? Absolutely nothing, and it was glorious, okay? But the big loser of the evening here is Charles Blow. If there's one thing the shutdown pointed out, it was the failings of Obamacare, right? It's too expensive. It doesn't work. It was always a pipe dream. And when Kevin O'Leary chimes in and says, guess what? In all of these major developed Western countries that all actually have the socialized medicine the Democrats want so much, healthcare is getting untenable. It's becoming too expensive because people are living longer and they're having less kids to prop up those systems. Okay, and when Kevin O'Leary points out the fact that yes, Obamacare is failing, what does Charles Blow say? What? You're crazy. Obamacare is the best. It gives people healthcare. Yeah, at a hugely inflated price. And that, of course, is the added bonus of the shutdown for the Republicans. It's shown a spotlight on the failure of Obamacare, right? Because a lot of this fight also was about subsidies. All right, we have to give a massive government subsidy just to make this affordable to people. And that, of course, means it was a failing system to begin with. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.